Hello everybody, my name's James. Welcome to the Planet FPL Gameweek 36 Deadline stream in partnership with FPL Team. And it's live. We are 55 minutes away from the final Friday night FPL Deadline of the 2023-24 season. And over the next 55 minutes or so, I will try and answer as many of your FPL dilemmas as possible. Although I'm going to answer some of them now. You will see on the graphics how I line up this week, and you will note that Heung-min Son is sitting first on my bench. When you see the ticker scroll round in the bottom right corner and it gets to the Tottenham team this week, you will see that I'm not predicting Heung-min Son to start. That will be a unique opinion and it won't be shared by many, but he is absolutely out of form and he absolutely deserves to be dropped. That's my opinion. And a lot of you debating Fernandes versus Son. Oh, Fernandes got a yellow flag. He'll play. He always plays, Bruno Fernandes. Ten Hag has openly said that he's played him this season when he has been injured on occasion as well. He'll play. There's not much doubt about that. Son for me, could he return at the weekend? Yeah, sure, absolutely. I do think there's a strong possibility he might be benched personally. Whether Ange agrees with that, I can't tell you because he picks the team and I don't. Certainly he's fit. There's no ticker on the bottom of the screen this week. We've got a bit of a technical fault with that at the moment, so apologies that's not there. That's why the very bottom of the screen might look a little barer than it normally does. Captaincy for me, quite straightforward, earning Haaland. On a personal, my own team this week, I'll be Raya, Gabriel, Vardiol, Cucurella, Palmer, Foden, Fernandes, Gordon, Isak, Haaland, Jackson. With Son, an injured Fabian Schär, and Pedro Porro in reserve. Because frankly, a red-flagged Fabian Schär I'd probably still rather put ahead of Pedro Porro this week. That might help you as well. Onana is my reserve goalkeeper. Remember, I am not bench boosting next week, but I know many of you will be. And therefore, there is a need and a desire for defenders. Those of you with Schär and Gusto and Van Heck and Ait Nori have suddenly walked into a lot of problems. Let me sell it to you like this. If you can buy a Manchester City defender, buy a Manchester City defender. Preference would be Vardiol. If you want nailed minutes, go Kyle Walker. If you do not have an Arsenal defender, prioritise that over Newcastle, Chelsea, any other team with a defender. If you can get an Arsenal defender after a City defender, get an Arsenal defender. For the majority of other cases, if you have players you can play this week, which includes the likes of Pedro Porro, just do that and roll the transfer. I think the information will be better for you next week. Certainly wouldn't be taking -4s for defenders unless it's to fund other moves. I'll give an example. I want to do this so I can move Son to Foden or De Bruyne at the same time. Cool. Generally speaking, no -4s for defenders. Arsenal and Manchester City should be your priority if you're looking for defensive coverage. If you can't afford it, arguably wait. If you're absolutely certain that no matter what you'd end up buying Dan Burn next week, just buy Dan Burn now. Fair enough. Right, I think that'll cover it off. You'll see the benching dilemmas below me. They'll spin around. That's going to answer a lot of questions. Please look at it. It's right there. That's going to answer a lot of questions in terms of either or's who'd start. They run in order, pages 1 to 4 of outfield players. And then you've got goalkeepers on page 5 as well. I'll just check that spinning round for you because it might not be. Yes, I think it is actually. Yes, it is. It's fine. Right, let's get into your questions. We will start with JP. Says, hi, thoughts on starting Son Fernandes with VVD possible injury plus Spurs surely respond after being shocked. Shocking. Next question. Billy Taylor says, yes, Jimbo, any love for an Akanji transfer for a -4 ahead of double game at 37? Or I can wait a week and play Doughty instead? Yeah, look, playing Alfie Doughty tonight's fine. You might even notice as well, I haven't got James Tarkowski in my predicted Everton lineup. He missed training on Wednesday. We know that because we know that his partner was expecting a child. I've done some digging today and I can't find any information. So I don't know if there's still expectation that that child might be on the way. And with Everton safe, I don't know. Is he going to be at Kenilworth Road tonight? If he's not, that makes them weaker from Doughty's deliveries. So, yeah, Doughty. Not massively keen on Akanji. Look, he's playing a lot at the moment. Let's also factor in that John Stones could obviously play instead of Akanji or Aki or even Vardiol, with Aki going the left back. Ruben Diaz missed the game against Forest because of sickness. I think there's every chance that Diaz will come back in. I've got it predicted the same this week with Akanji playing. But I think, look, your priority is going to be the doubler, isn't it? And if you buy him and he don't play tomorrow, you are sick. Doughty this week's not terrible, mate. JP says also, how do I pick between KDB or Foden? Any upcoming matches that suit either one more? Okay, interesting question. No, not particularly. For me, it's more about where does Foden end up. I think there's a real keenness to get him centrally wherever possible now as well. So even if he starts in a wide area, I'm not convinced he necessarily ends up out there. I actually think they'll both start central tomorrow, Foden and KDB. So preference, as discussed with Johnny Pringle a couple of weeks ago, it's just slightly with Foden at the moment. A little saving of money enables you other things potentially. If the money just generally doesn't matter at all, then it really is a coin flip, I think. That I'm on the Foden train. That's where my preference has been for a while. I'm going to stick with that. Gazaflute83 says, hi James, hope you're well. Share to Vardio or roll and play Porro or Maguire alongside double Arsenal defence. Bench boost 37. Yeah, I think, look, Vardio is the outstanding City choice. Can I guarantee you plays twice in 37? No. But I'd be pretty confident that he plays tomorrow, and that's a good fixture right in front of you. As said at the top, the preference is if you can get the City defender, get the City defender. Gavin Richardson says, hey babes, what's going on with your beloved Spurs, and how come Romario is such a goal threat at the moment? I presume you mean Romero. Coincidental. I just think he's just had a little run of games where he's been having some chances, and that's not something that's been common over his... Well, he's in third season now with Tottenham. He's not returned regularly. There's possibly a little bit to be said that we don't have many aerial threats. Therefore, he's arguably the most powerful one in the air. He should have scored last night, obviously. Not that we deserved anything. So I just think it's probably small sample size and something that's probably more coincidental rather than anything at the weekend recently. I mean, you look at the goal against Arsenal, it's a freak, isn't it? What's he even doing now? He's ended up there because he's gone on a mad one. I mean, what was the chances that Raya was going to give him the ball 20 yards from goal in a one-on-one position? So that he doesn't return much. When he does get chances, he often misses them, as per yesterday, as per the header that hit the post against Arsenal in the first half on Sunday as well. So what's going on with Spurs? Players not good enough. That's the biggest thing, and that's what's become really apparent, certainly to me. I think many other Tottenham fans. Angie's part of the problem at the moment, but certainly not the problem. The players that he's got are not good enough to play the way he wants to play, and it's going to take a number of transfer windows to get to where he wants to get to. It won't just be the summer that fixes it. There's a lot of players who I think mentally and physically are not up to the task. I don't need to name names at the moment. Most of you know who they are. Olivia Ward says, share Augusto out first for Vardio or prefer Walker to Vardio. No, I've just leave that with... so double City defence. I mean, I don't mind that. It means you're going to go without an additional attacking one, but I don't mind that as a different way of playing this in upcoming weeks. That I would be surprised if Fabian Schär played again this season personally, based on the information given today. Malo Gusto, we haven't got any additional information. As it stands, if you said to me now one of those two players was going to start next weekend in 37, I'd say Gusto's the more likely. So I would Schär out first personally. Just remember when you're doing that though, that Gusto, if you don't leave yourself money in the bank, it's not going to get you to many places. Just remember that. Patrick Lawson says, hey James, best Solanke replacement out of Alvarez, Højlund, João Pedro and Watkins on bench boost next week. Okay, here's a reality. If that was me, I would probably very reluctantly be buying Rasmus Højlund, I think, at the moment. I think the correct answer there, Patrick, is Ollie Watkins. Brighton, Liverpool, Palace is a mediocre set of fixtures which have challenges. He's been the best player in the game this year. So Ollie Watkins, mate, don't necessarily overlook it. Ali Bismo says, hi James, really want to roll this week, but my defence consists of Gusto and Van Heck to go with Burn, Porro, Gabriel. Do I sell Gusto, Van Heck to a City defender now? Yes, if you can get to City, yes, get to City. Vardiola preference. Daniel Hazlitt says, hi James, big fan of the pods, keep up the great work, thank you. He says, I've got one free transfer and I'm on bench boost 37. I've got Van Heck and Gusto on my bench. Should I ditch one now or roll and get more info for the bench boost? I mean, you haven't said who your free starting players are, but you've got them on the bench. I mean, if you're confident you get minutes from the three that are playing, yeah, I just think, I mean, unless you're going to buy someone in who's going to absolutely improve your team, you're better off rolling here, aren't you? That seems fairly straightforward, mate. Good luck. Zaris says, choose one of Branthwaite, Maguire, Porro. Greetings from sunny Greece. Like and subscribe. Don't cost anything. Want to start one this week from that lot? Mate. It's not great, mate. Branthwaite. Reluctance. Find two mates and do scissors, paper, rock or something, mate. See who the odd, pick one each and see who the odd one out is. Probably all 1 or 2 pointers, mate. John says, hi James, went with Johnson instead of Son and wildcard. Not happy, so thinking Johnson to Havertz this week is a differential. Eventually was 37, thanks and unlucky last night. Yeah, don't mind that. What I would say is, I got 0.1 in the bank and didn't have a problem with that and still don't have a problem with that because it allowed me to get the squad that I really wanted. Obviously, share over burn hasn't worked out. The problem I've got is, if I went Son to Havertz or even Fernandes to Havertz, 2 moves I'd happily consider, and Kai Havertz would be top of the shops for me under that circumstance. I can't go back if I want to. Now, there's every chance that I won't want to go back to Son, but there might be a scenario where he gets benched tomorrow on Sunday, comes on, looks really good in the last 20 minutes. It gives him the bloody kick up the arse that he absolutely needs, and he'll look like a good asset ahead of Burnley at home next week. The second fixture is irrelevant for Tottenham, by the way. It might as well be an away game to Manchester City rather than a home game. But Burnley at home is still a very good fixture, right? And I didn't want to cut that off as much as he's pissing me off at the moment. Yeah, I don't mind the Johnson to Havertz move. Yeah, it's not worked out with Johnson at the moment, is it? But he's one of the few that isn't pissing me off at the moment. Sean says, evening James, share to Walker this week or start Porro and hold off for a week to roll. You got to ask yourself this, Sean, under your circumstance, if Walker's the one you want, are you not going to end up going there next week anyway? By Kyle Walker, I think, under your circumstance. Hasselbank's win, says James, thoughts on Angeball recently, 34 points from the last 72 available. What's that in games? 24 games? Shit, innit? 25 goals conceded in 2024. The defenders are good players, but it seems he can't organise a defence. The problem isn't necessarily the defence. It's what's in front of it is now becoming a real problem. Because you're right, you kind of nailed it on the head, actually. Like, the defenders are good, yeah. Where do Tottenham go to improve on Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, Udogie or Vicario? It's actually tough at the moment. It's the 6 in front of it that needs dramatic improvement. Once it gets that, the defence will improve as well. Matthew McCaffrey says, Captain Palmer or Wood, Haalandless. Yeah, Palmer for me, mate, out of that. Awen Yee likely to be back in the Forest squad. I'm sure Chris Wood will start, but that's notable as well. Hasselbank is win said, would you make Timo Werner's transfer a permanent one? And secondly, who should be the number 1 realistic target for Spurs to get in the summer? Do you know what? We missed him in them Arsenal-Chelsea games. We missed him. I would happily buy him for the 15 million that's reported to be a squad player moving forward. However, salary will be big, so you have to. He's not. Oh, he's 15 million. He's like on 165 grand a week. You're probably going to have to pick up that tab as well. So, do you want to do that for a squad player? That's a lot. That's a lot, and that will be then. If you buy it, that will become difficult to move on. If you then want to do that as well, I don't mind if Tottenham go there, as long as it's not to become a first choice player. As long as he's happy to be part of a squad setup, and as long as it doesn't stop Tottenham buying something very strong somewhere else. Otherwise, don't bother. Daniel Hazlitt says, hi James, team is reasonable for this week, but is one of Salah, Saka or Son worth selling for Foden or Havertz? I absolutely would not sell Mohamed Salah this week. Really wouldn't, guys. If you want to sell Son for Foden or Havertz, be my guest, mate. Be my guest. Just consider what I said about my own circumstance, right? What if you change your mind, you want to go back to Son next week? Like, can you still do that? Maybe you've got plenty in the bank. Just consider that, that's all. MG Becky says, hi James, thoughts on benching one of Darwin Núñez' son or Garnacho? Certainly, again, I wouldn't be benching Darwin Núñez this week. He might even get hat-trick as a sub. The amount of chances we give up. In seriousness, realistically out of that, I don't think United will find it difficult Monday night as well. So I think playing against a back five, even despite the fact I'm saying that I think there's a possibility Son doesn't start, Garnacho would be the one I'd bench from that. JP, are Spurs at the beach now? Yeah, basically. Yeah. It's going to be very difficult not to finish in the top six. You know, could one or Newcastle, Manchester United catch us? I mean, in theory, yeah, both nearly impossible. So Europa 5th, 6th, the same. Europa League place is near enough assured. There's no chance we catch Aston Villa. Now it's about getting it right for what's come next, and all I want Sunday. You get beat Sunday, it's understandable. It's Liverpool away, right? Give me something to walk away and that was better. That's literally all I want from my 10-hour coach journey, which it will inevitably be because it's a fucking coach. On Sunday, I mean there and back, obviously. That's all I want. I want to get back on that coach after the game and go, that was much better today. That's all I want. I don't really care about the result. Ali Bismo says, if you were Ange, would you tell your players to roll over against City? I mean, look, one of the things I've been saying this week is Tottenham should put the youth team out. What I watched last night, he won't even need to put the youth team out to get well beat anyway. It won't matter. Won't matter. But would I? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. As kind of just proven by the last question. We got nothing to play for. The fans are pissed off. You imagine we lose to Liverpool badly, don't beat Burnley, and then beat City. The fans are going to be like, what the fuck's going on? Most of the fans would quite... It doesn't matter to us, is what I keep telling people. It's irrelevant whether we beat City or not. You might as well lose. You might as well lose. And that's, small-minded attitude. You don't understand the rivalry, and that's fine. Alpha says, Haaland or KDB captain? It's Haaland for me, and there's a few people going on about, he got kind of shielded out of it at Wolves the last time they played. Yeah, Craig Dawson was all over him. Craig Dawson's unavailable, and I don't think Wolves in... Whether it's Santiago Bueno or Max Kilman, won't be Toti Gomez picks up that, but whichever one of the other two maybe picks up that role, yeah, it won't be the same. I'm pretty sure Haaland scored a hat-trick the same fixture last year at the Etihad, right? Haaland for me. Gavin Richardson says, feeling a role coming on this week. Share injury isn't ideal. May I inquire what your top 5 running differentials are, please? Not Morgan Rogers, I imagine. He's a difficult one to pick because the fixtures aren't great. He's at a good price. Like if he was kind of just in the standard period and Villa had better fixtures, we'd be talking about him. He's cheap. He's playing really well. I like him as a player. I think he's a player that may be of real interest to us next year, perhaps. I can't realistically recommend that. Differentials for the running. So I'm going to assume most people are looking for doublers here. So let's go outside the box here a little bit. So, Madueke versus Palmer, Barnes versus Gordon, Johnson versus Son, Garnacho versus Fernandes. Who am I missing here that's got a double that I haven't mentioned? KDB versus Foden. So, like, within that, option 2 is enough versus the template. I don't think there's many great forward options. I mean, it's quite clear there aren't many great defensive options. So, you really want to take it on in terms of differentials. It's in the midfield area, I think, mate. Jake says, hi, James. Hope you're well. Due to share injury, currently have Porro starting. Leaning towards getting Chelsea defender to replace him. Is Chalobah the best option? Most minutes for 36 and bench boost 37. This is the perfect example, mate, where I probably wouldn't bother Jake. He probably is. You've also just missed the 15-pointer. So, is it going to come again? It might. But we haven't got enough information on Gusto. We haven't got enough information on Disasai. We think Colwell might be back in the squad this weekend. It just feels like one where Tottenham could get beat 5-2 and Porro knocks you up an assist for a 3-4 pointer. Do you really fancy Chelsea for a clean sheet? I talk about this with Suja all the time. West Ham's front three walk into Tottenham's team. I'm not joking. Please tell me which one of Bowen, Kudos or Paquetá don't get in the Tottenham team. genuine serious. They all walk into it. So that's actually more of a challenge for Chelsea this weekend. I think West Ham probably score. So I just think the information, Jake, is probably a little bit more important. Gary Robinson's in, our Manchester United correspondent, who will be on Clash of Correspondents this Thursday. He says, evening, James. Would you sell Maddison or concentrate on selling single game week defenders, bench boost 37? Maddison. I think he'll probably come back in on Sunday, Gary, but I wouldn't expect anything from it. I obviously can't see how good or bad your situation is, mate. It's probably roll, isn't it? Then if you can bench him this week, that's ideal. Uros Milicevic says, hello, James. Would you replace VVD for a hit? If not, would you start him or bench him for Branthwaite, Munoz? I mean, you've got two decent, they're not great, but they're decent backups this week. Sell Van Dijk for a hit. I'd be more inclined to buy him in for a hit. The patrons who listen to the differential show this morning will know that I was talking about getting bets on down the bookies on Trent assisting Virgil van Dijk this weekend. And I tell you now that if Virgil van Dijk plays, Trent will probably assist Virgil van Dijk for a goal this weekend. Look how we defend set plays. You want to take a hit to remove that because of what he's a doubt. Nah, I mean, they probably don't get a clean sheet, but it's every chance he scores. With that comes bonus potentially as well. So, no, I would not be selling Virgil van Dijk this week. Next week, yeah, cool, and it'll open up some money funds for you. This week, nah, if you don't play, you don't play, mate. 1877 WWFC says, since the share news, best replacement through Doggy out of Burn and Maguire. Because of what you're walking into this weekend, preference would be Burn. But again, can it wait? Have you got something that you can play in your team? It's going to be a familiar theme, this, guys. For many of you, the right solution this week is going to be to roll the transfer. Not all of you, but for many of you. Zaris says, how did you see Aston Villa defeat from Olympiacos yesterday? I'm asking because Greek teams are ages back from Premier League teams. How did I see it? I saw it as I got back to West Brompton train station and it was a couple of minutes to go and I said to my dad, Villa are losing 4-2. And that was it. And about 2 o'clock this morning, I watched the goals. And there's nothing else I can add to it, mate. It's a great result for Olympiacos. It's surprising. But I reflect on the Olympiacos we played in the Champions League. Admittedly, it's going back sort of 4 years ago. You know, decent club. Villa don't have the experience here. The manager does, but the personnel doesn't. So, I mean, was I surprised by the result? Yeah, but... And I'd add as well, it's not over. It's not beyond Villa to go there and win by a couple and take that their extra time. Not done yet, but a super result. John says, evening, mate. Ederson to Onana or to Ortega as a risk to free up money for an upgrade elsewhere. Cheers, smash the like. As a risk to free up money for an upgrade elsewhere. I mean, well... How it looks at the moment, mate, I mean, it appears that Ederson's probably going to play, mate. So, you know, again, you want to open up some money next week by doing that sort of thing, fine. But to do it now, don't think so, mate. Let's just leave it with Ederson, mate. Neaton123, is Gusto a sell for bench boost 37? He might be, but again, you know, what's the rest of your team look like? At the moment, it's beginning to look like he's probably not going to make it. Patrick O'Meara says, hi James, thoughts on moving an out-of-form Son to Havertz for 36 and back in 37 using the money saved elsewhere. 0 in the bank and otherwise rolling into 37. So here's the key, Patrick. I used my analogy. I got 0.1 in the bank. Because of the money I've got up, I can't do it. I could sell, but I can't buy back. So just check that that's not your circumstance, Patrick. That if you have to buy back at more than what your sell price is, you're in trouble. And also consider, if he did do well on Sunday, he'll be getting steamed into quite quickly because of the Burnley fixture and the double. So you might cut yourself off. So just bear that in mind. If you can do it, if you can do it financially, if I could have done it financially, I'd have done it. I'd have got Havertz in. And personally, I probably would have benched Fernandes this week. That's probably what I would have done. JP says, who finishes 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th in your opinion now? 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. Tottenham, Newcastle, Manchester United, Chelsea. United, Chelsea might flip. But it's probably going to be that. Florentine P says, hi James, play Son or Elanga, thanks. God. It's still sunny, mate. It's because of the capability. Reality is that he could be shit again like he was in the North London derby and he gets a penalty and you got a decent return. It's always extremely, despite the fact I'm doing it, right? For me, it's a Son versus Fernandes, if I was truthfully to debate it. Because I think Newcastle will do well tomorrow. So, I mean, I'm not benching the Chelsea guys with a home game or the City guys with a home game. So, my choice is Son versus Fernandes. Now, they're both penalty takers, right? But it is difficult to bench a penalty taker. There's no doubt about that. And ideally, in most cases, you got one like that. Yeah, despite everything I've said, I think the right call is to play Son, mate. Howard Green says, G'day James from Perth, Australia. Good luck for your FPL, but not your Spurs. Here is hoping for a better output from the mighty Reds. Well, Howard, I wish you the very best of luck this weekend, because I'm just the better man, maybe. Or not, the worst man. King of Mandalore says, is it worth keeping Gusto and Shea on my bench and seeing what happens next week? I can sell 8 Nori and Van Heck instead and field 11. So that's the kind of the exact nightmare scenario of those 4 players, particularly. I can sell 8 Nori and Van Heck instead. So you can sell both of them and field 11. Here's the thing. This is an interesting one. I'll tell you why it's an interesting one under your circumstance, what you're saying now. I've not really considered this till you threw that question right at me. We haven't got information on 8 Nori, and I suggested I did this on the Team News stream for advanced tier patrons about an hour ago. I said, I think the no news is probably good news on Ray and 8 Nori. That said, I see FPL Blackwolf has posted that contrary to what Gary O'Neill had said about Pedro Neto being back in full training, apparently he's not going to be in the squad tomorrow. So that's a little concerning. But I think about it like this. 8 Nori's got Palace at home next week. Now, it's not great, because Palace are in good form. And the fact that these attacking players are back fit means he's probably playing wing back. But what would you rather be stuck with next week? Is it 8 Nori with the single fixture at home to Crystal Palace, or is it potentially an injured player? I personally would be very surprised if Fabian Schär makes it next week. If I was in that position, Van Heck has got no chance. We haven't got enough Gusto info. I'd possibly be tempted to keep 8 Nori and sell Schär. And if you get stuck playing 8 Nori at home to Palace next week, is that the worst thing in the world? No. The problem is I can't promise you that 8 Nori's fit either. Gavin Richardson says, have to shoot off to the pub, but have a great stream, weekend, week, etc. Everyone's always got to go to the pub. Have a good one and blow the bloody doors off that like button, yo. Cheers. Thank you, Gavin. Yeah, we got circa 20% of you smashed a like. Doesn't cost anything, guys. Eshin says, Muniz to Isak for a -4 or play Pedro. Oof. Here's the thing on that one. I don't know what your circumstance was last week. But that transfer should have been getting done last week before Sheffield United came into town. Okay, you can't go back. You can't change that. For me, yes. Yeah, for me, yes. Patrick Lawson says, also is Garnacho to Foden worth a -4. We'll be buying Bruno next week. Yeah, I don't mind that either. Mahaya AG says, template midfield except with Saka instead of Foden. Would you recommend taking Bruno or Gordon out for Foden or Roll? Thanks. Roll, I think, my friend. Saka be great differential for you this week, right? Great differential this week. Ali McDonald says, play Johnson or Son. I mean, based on my predicted lineup, the answer should be Johnson, shouldn't it? The right answer, similar to the Elanga one earlier, is still play Son. Because reality is this, right? I'm predicting Son not to start, but Ange's never left him out. Now, it's worth saying as well, before last night, Ange had never left Maddison out either. So, could it happen? Yeah. The chances are, though, I'll give you a predicted lineup because I'd rather not sit on the fence. But the chances are that he does play. And it's more likely that he plays than Johnson. And you've got to look at the bigger picture there, I think. If I'm right, then I'm right, and I'm sorry. But the right answer there is to play Son, isn't it? Zaris says, risking starting Bruno Fernandes or Gordon. You are an FPL god. Thank you, Zaris. I'm definitely not a god, mate. We are waiting here in Greece to teach us FPL. And we will teach you how to eat Greek food, which is the best. Bruv, let me tell you something. I don't need no teaching how to eat Greek food because I eat plenty of it already. You ain't. If you're waiting for me to teach you how to play FPL, I'll tell you, you got the wrong stream, buddy. But thank you. I would play Gordon over Fernandes this week, personally. Stephen Moore says, hi, James. 8 Nori to Livramento. Or just play Porro. I could hold up for Trippier in 37 if he's available. The problem with Trips is you ain't going to play tomorrow, so you're not going to get anything definitive that's going to allow you to do that. I don't think. Unless Eddie Howe. Imagine Eddie Howe says next Friday, Kieran Trippier will start tomorrow, as if that's going to happen. Like he isn't, is he? So you're not going to be comfortable enough to do that because there's every chance they're going to come back and be sub for the first game, right? You're probably all right with Livramento because you could go to left back. But also, I don't think we should discount the possibility that Lewis Hall just plays there. And Livramento, I know he played last weekend. That was a real surprise because Howard said he was still carrying the, after the Palace game, he said he was still carrying the ankle problem that he'd picked up against West Ham. I'd be a little concerned about that personally. I think Dan Burn is the dull pick, but the right pick. And I think he's, because of set plays and stuff, and he's clearly going to be the target now. That offers almost as much a threat as Livramento, actually, from an offensive output perspective as well. Maybe you can't afford to go there. I obviously accept that as well. I think just play Porro this week. And no, you just go into it the mindset there's no chance for a clean sheet, basically. Unless something weird happens. There's next to no chance for a clean sheet. But he's still on set plays and stuff, so the attacking return is possibly there in any game. Not that we've got anyone that can actually win a header. John Solly says, hi James, who would you think more goals till the end of the season, Watkins or Jackson? Interesting. Jackson's got an extra game and better fixtures. I'm going to bottle that and say I think they'll probably be about the same. We'll probably get like 2 each. I also think that's a realistic answer. Luke Stevenson says, hi James, hope you're well. Need a captain other than Haaland to catch up in mini leagues. Would you go Palmer or Foden? Thanks and good luck. From that, I'd go Foden. But I'll caveat again to what I said earlier in the week. In fact, I think on my stream yesterday, that I think there will be great opportunities. Excuse me. There'll be great opportunities to take Haaland on next week and in 38. I'm not sure they're so great this week, personally. And next week's a double, so depending on the ground you're looking to make up, you can still make up some good distance there. If you do have to go against this week, from those two choices, I think Foden. Why Foden over Palmer? Well, let's just factor what happened the last time Chelsea played on a Thursday and then played on a Sunday. And that was a hard work game for them. Remember, they didn't have a lot of a bench last night. Chelsea did spend long periods without the ball. He was taken off relatively early against Sheffield United. I also recognise that was before the FA Cup semi-final, and there was probably cautiousness that they needed him. There's less requirement for him to have to stay fit at the moment, maybe, because there's less to play for. Though they definitely will want to try and qualify for Europe. Although, who knows if they'll actually be allowed into Europe. That's a different podcast for a different day. But with that in mind, and City's fixture, Foden. Who is next? Excuse me. Russell Baker says, hello, as a Son Bruno owner for double game, would you do one of them to Havertz or Saka as a 1 week punt? Or just until then, end of the season? Spurs, sorry to say it, James, look like they are not in good shape. if you actually read that back to yourself, Russell, you've actually answered your own question. I don't need to add anything. Andre Braga says, Porro and Maguire. Fuck me, Dave. Maguire. But I don't think it'll matter. Abraham Overvoord. That's a great name if I pronounce it correctly. Hey, James says, thanks for streaming. Chasing a 20-point deficit in my mini league. Do I go Haaland, Palmer, Saka, or Isak captain? 20 points. 7 points a week. You don't need to go different on the captaincy to do that. Especially with double next week. Haaland captain, mate. Tino says, hi James. Hello Tino. Ross Harrison says, hi James. I've got Chris Wood in this week as skipper, hoping to close the 35-point lead in my mini league against a template team, but I have free hit next week. Secret weapon question. I'm not going to tell you not to do it, Ross. I'm just going to say good luck. Hanny says, hi James. Any chance you would recommend playing Porro over Dallo as a differential? No, like I think there's every chance United to get well beat Monday, but it feels more likely that will be wrong than Tottenham at Liverpool, right? Ryan says, hi James, would you sell Salah or Son? I would not be selling Mo Salah this week. Adam Naeem 95. Is that Naeem from the halfway line? Thank you for all your hard work this season, James. You're very welcome, Adam. Says, I'm bench boosting 37. My defence is Vardy, Gabriel, Porro and Maguire. Share. Is the move share to Burn, share to Saliba, White, or another transfer role? Okay, so with Vardy and Gabriel, you're actually in a decent. You're going to be in quite a decent position this week in the sense you've got cover of those two teams. Porro and Maguire we've just discussed. He's not great, but who are you actually investing in that's going to make that better? Now, you've used the example of adding the second Arsenal there. I think everyone should have an Arsenal defender next week. Is my take, including me who can bench it, but including those who are bench boosting as well. I don't know if I'd want two on the bench boost. I would add that. I think roll, mate. Personally, Darren Jenkins says Son and Fernandes out for De Bruyne and Foden -4. Problem is I have Doughty, Gabriel, Branthwaite, Cher and Gusto. Do I take another -4? Just play Doughty, Branthwaite and Gabriel? I think you just play them three, mate. Play them three defensive guys. Who knows? You might get a 0-0 tonight. Never impossible in an Everton game. Murray Defoe says Son to Havertz and then swap back 37. Just check that you can do it financially. Otherwise, yeah, that's okay. Jerry Dama says, hello Jimbo. Is starting Morris ahead of Son a controversial move or maybe not due to Son's poor form lately? So they're not a million miles away from each other on the bench in dilemmas, but I would still pick Sonny. I would. Part of that is I don't think Luton will win tonight. If you do, I don't mind if you want to take that on. I'd certainly. You could argue people will call that controversial. I definitely wouldn't call it mad or stupid though if you want to do it. Tino says Emerson or Raya, thanks. I'm going to assume that must have meant Edison. If you've got the two of them as your goalkeepers, wow. Who do you pick out of those two? I mean, look, you can't. If it's a buying question, I don't think you can buy Edison today. Close. Look, I think they'll both kick clean sheets, and I think it'll probably be 6 points for both. I'm just asking myself in my head, who realistically is more likely to score tomorrow? Is it Wolves or Bournemouth? I'm drawn to Bournemouth, but then I also remind myself that Arsenal are better defensively. So it really is a flip that. I also hate Edison as an asset. I'd go Raya. There you go. Jay says, hi James, wondering if Aki worth a punt to cover the upside on Spurs set piece frailties or pick the nailed on less fun choice Walker. Yeah, look, what do you want to do? Do you want to pick the less fun safe option? The answer really is not is what do you want? Do you want to go for the upside of Aki and know there's more risk in that, right? Know that he scored the last time he played Tottenham, but you also know there's no guarantee that he starts. I would suggest he almost definitely does. Against Tottenham specifically, by the way. Do you want to chance that, knowing that he doesn't get 2 games? Or Cole Walker almost definitely plays, isn't he? And the answer to that is going to be up to you, because people say, "Oh, who's the most nailed one?" Well, it's Walker, but Walker's not the one I'd advise. It's Vardiol, and arguably after that, it probably would be Ake. Project FPL says, have Van Heck, Gusto share. Who would you take out, and would it be for Vardiol or Walker? Much appreciated. As per the previous one, like, what do you want from your Manchester City defender? Are you happy to take the risk? Vardiol, for me, is the way I would go. That's the way I have gone. And if you can go straight from Van Heck, that's the preference based on the 3 players you've got. Needtown123 says, 1 week punt for a defender, Arsenal defender or Trent. I don't mind. You want to punt Trent for 1 week? I don't mind, mate. I don't mind that at all. But clean sheet is more unlikely than likely. Just factor that in. The heroic doses says, Dallo or Burn. Burn on the fixture, if that's a choice of who to start. Abigail says, take a hit to remove Son or Eze for Gordon. Try and hold on to first in a prize league, and everyone else has Gordon already. Okay, so I'm glad that I would have said, Abigail, no, don't bother. But your reasoning I perfectly understand. But to take a hit to do it as well. I mean, for me, no. But I very much understand your reasoning to close it off. But, you know, Eze might seal the deal for you as well Monday night, Abigail. Adam says, Haaland is sacked, Jackson, Palmer, Son, Foden, Gordon, Bruno. Right, who do you bench, James? It's literally, mate, you've got the same front 8 as me and it's on the screen. Joseph Robinson said, Son James looks like he's carrying weight, not his normal lean athletic self. Is he on Angie's diet? There's something wrong with him at the moment. I don't think it's weight. To clarify, it might be carrying a burden of something. The captaincy might be doing that to him, possibly. It's not at it. It's not at it. And really, he's not been at it for 2 years. But it's just he's had little bits of goal scoring this season that's hidden that. Last year was horrendous. John says, thoughts on Johnson in 37 minutes wise, thanks and good luck. It's a question for after tomorrow, isn't it, John? It's really difficult to say, because you'd make a case he'd want to use him for his pace late in the games against Burnley and or Manchester City. For me, being the team at the moment, personally. But it's really tough to say at the minute, John. Like, over the last 2 games and going into this one as well, predicting the Tottenham team's rough. So, I'm on 92% accuracy predicting Tottenham lineups this year. And that's naturally because I know the club well. That's one of my strongest ones. For those who are interested, Crystal Palace is highest, by the way. But it's one of the strongest ones, obviously. But the last few's been tough, and it is against Sunday. It really is. Like, Ange, I don't think he'll provide tactical surprises, but I think he may provide selection surprises, hence me predicting Son not to start. Can't answer it, John. I'd just be blagging, mate. I'm sorry. Luke Galway says, Bruno to Kai for 1 week. Flip back to Bruno next week, set for bench boost next week. Yeah, just again, check that you're okay from the value perspective, Luke. And obviously, just, ask yourself, well, what if X gets injured and then, oh my God, and then it's off -4 to get Bruno back? Carrying 15 players. And more players you carry you want next week, the more chance there is of something going wrong, right? What if you get 2 players injured? What then for Bruno? Now, if you rolled the transfer, you fix them 2 problems. That's all. But yeah, I don't mind it. Marcin says, Son or Jackson plays. Jackson, my friend. Call to our patrons. Obviously, if we've got anything that's team news wise that is knocking about, that is reliable, please drop us a little tag on our Slack channel, and we'll have a look at it and get it shared. I'll keep an eye on that over the next few minutes, guys. Who's next? Super Sam Play says, I know you always say never to take a hit for defenders, but would you consider it this week? with Mikolenko, Gusto, Aitnori and Porro. If so, for who on bench boost next week? Yeah, look, if you can get to Vardiol, that's number one priority. Get to Arsenal, second priority. John says, any extra news on Edison? Thanks. Not that we're aware, other than the word is that he trained yesterday. So that's Pep's words, no one else's. I presume he plays. Rowan Balani says, share to Livermento Hall or Burn. Thanks, mate. Have a good weekend. This one, Burn feels safer, but I think there's as much threat there as well. So Burn, mate. Tanky says, best defender to go for the next 2 weeks. Vardiol now risk with Aki and Diaz. Still Vardiol for me, mate. AC7 says, hi James, -4 and take Van Heck out or play Porro. He's probably just play Porro, mate. John says, bench Gordon or Fernandez. They're both on the bench in dilemmas, mate. The answer is play Gordon. Tom Sleeman says, should I do Muniz to Wood this week and then bench boost with Wood in 37? I already have Haaland and Isak and don't particularly like any of the other forwards with a double. Only if you've got 2 free transfers, Tom. Otherwise, roll, mate. Fighter Jets says, evening, James. Don't want to rub it in, but I'm playing Share over Porro. Sorry. On a serious note, should I triple captain Haaland or Foden? Thanks. Next week, mate. Next week when they're playing my team. The sensible answer there is Haaland, isn't it? But it depends what you're trying to achieve. Joel07p says, do you think Liverpool have a better chance of a clean sheet compared to Chelsea? Similar, I would say. Sorry, it's a bottle job answer, but I think even the bookies would probably have that as similar. Tim Johnson says, hi James, bringing Vardiol this week for Bradley. Other defenders are Gabriel, VDV, Gusto and Dallo. We're bringing Dan Burn, which means I can go for KDB next week. Already own Foden and Haaland. I would go the defensive one, personally. If you're watching, Paul, nice one, buddy. Ali says, hi, James. Bench one between Maguire, Branthwaite or Porro. I really can't bother with that. Porro, maybe. I don't know. That's all shit, mate. Ali says, I'm just so shit, I thought I'd read it again. For Greendale says, hi Jeremy, do I bring Solanke or Darwin for Haaland? I presume you mean sell. I've heard he doesn't want to play tomorrow. Okay, mate. Michael Bianchi says, hi James, would you consider Bruno to KDB for a hit? I've already got Foden and have Son on the bench. Cheers. I'm trying to think if I had the money available, would I have considered that? No, not really. No. Peno Aston Villa says, hi James, anything in Son not being your predicted lineup? I'm sure you've heard me cover it by this point. There's nothing factual, by the way. Let me please make this very clear for those joining late. I'm not ITK. I don't have any information. That's just an opinion. It's just an opinion of something that I think could happen. And I'd rather be brave with my predictions rather than just bottle it and sit on the fence. Danelia says, top content all season, Makadak. Thank you. Cheers, mate. Smash a like, people, if you've enjoyed the content this season. Greg Williams says, bench boost is currently Pickford, Gabriel, White, Havertz for game week 37. We'll likely have 2 free transfers going into 37, 0.5 in the bank. Think they're just burning the transfer. Nah, you'll make one, mate. Something will happen and you'll want to do something, mate. Eddie R says, hi James, thoughts on bringing an Arsenal defender for Gusto Van Heck from -4. I'm on bench boost 37, currently have no Arsenal players. Cheers. I mean, all you're trying to do is keep up there and you're keeping up 4 points behind. Under your circumstance, I would maybe I would chance the City players. Riskier, but I would maybe do that. Luke Galway says, smashed a like, lads. Cheers, Luke. Eddie R. The rest of my defence is Porro, Burn, Vardiol. Oh, okay, you've already got Vardiol. Okay. Still not massively keen on the -4 for defenders. Not with a single. Nah, I mean, Porro, Burn, Vardiol. It's okay. Dragon Josiowski says, hi, James. Do you think share to Romero next week would be worth it? Yeah. Ultimate, definite clean sheet against City, mate. Do you expect the goal threat shown this week to continue or just do the boring share the burn? Cheers. It's a question for next week, and you'll know before you get there, mate, after you watch Tottenham at Liverpool on Sunday. Arnav says, hey James, hope you're doing well. Hope you are too, Arnav. We are circa 5 minutes away from deadline, guys, so please do make sure at this stage that you are getting your teams locked in. Reminder, it's a 6:30 p.m. UK time deadline. King of Mandalore says, you seem to really dislike Son. You go out of your way to talk down on him in every stream. He's been Spurs' best player in the last decade and he always gives 100%. He deserves more respect. Heung-min Son is a Tottenham legend, mate. He's one of the best attacking players we have ever had. Love him. Still love him. Will always love him. But I will tell you what my eyes say and see. He's been shit, mate, for 2 years. And in terms of he always gives 100%. You look at him next time he goes in for a physical tackle and tell me what you think. Love him. Always love him. Genuinely legend. I don't use that term loosely. He's in Tottenham's top 5 all-time top goal scorers. I will always love him. But the best of him is gone. He's a player who heavily relies on his pace, of course. And he's got phenomenal pace still. Although I think it's beginning to go a little bit. And he's at an age where the football club should strongly consider selling him, because this will be the only time that they can make a good return on their investment out of him. And that's how I feel. That's how I feel. Felix Hope says, hey James, no bench boost left. Do I roll with VVD, Branthwaite, Gabriel, bench Porro, 8 Nori? Or do I sell 8 Nori for a City defender this week? God, there's a lot going on there, mate. Would mean a -4 to get Foden in 37 for Garnacho. Fucking hell, mate. Yeah, you should be. Yeah, you're fine. I mean, Porro's like a sub this week's fine, isn't it? That's the only one I've got as defensive sub. You know, if Van Dijk doesn't turn up, it's fine, mate. Michael H says, good day, James. On wildcard this week, bench boost in 37. What goalkeeper would you recommend out of Ortega, Dubravka, Onana, and Pickford? Christ on a stick. I would go for the one who's got 2 fixtures in 37, Onana. Blue Lion says, James, would you play Dallo versus Palace or Burn versus Burnley away? Probably Burn, because I really do fancy Palace to do well Monday night. Dragos B says, hi James, would you Son to Richarlison, bench boost 37? No. There might be one to... No. Can I also add as well, if Son did get benched on Sunday, I do think it would be a one-off, and I think he'd be back in the team, Burnley. And consider that, you know, I talk about considering outcomes before they happen, like what's the reaction going to be on Monday? Oh my God, panic, we've got to sell him. You know, it's Thursday, Sunday, and it's been a tough week of fixtures. If he did get benched on Sunday, I do think it would be a one-off and he'd be back in the team next Saturday. Dragos B says, that's what done. Jordan Smith says, Son to KDB and captain KDB. Bench Bruno, no Haaland. Go KDB, Foden, Walker, rest of the season. YOLO. Yeah, sure, you do only live once, mate. So make the most of that one life you've got. Charlie XGX. Oh, man, thought it was going to be the young lady who does pop songs. Says, hello, James. Going to do Van Hector Vardiol so I can bench Porro. Do I also take a -4 to do Nunes to Jackson so I can bench Son? Thank you. No, because the biggest thing is there. You should play Nunes this week, mate. Jerry Darmy says, for free hit 37, how many differential double game week 37 players would you have? My team is on the screen, mate. Or do you think owning a single game week player would not be a bad idea? There's a chance Everton defenders may outscore double game week defenders. Listen, of course there is, mate. There's also a chance that Tottenham keep 2 clean sheets in game week 37. It's not very likely, admittedly. Alex Barrett says, start Son or Darwin. Darwin, mate. It's got to be, because even in 20 minutes he'll get a chance. Ashwara says, hi James, would you bench Bruno for Mateta? Yes, I would, by the way, actually. Outside Erling, who would your captaincy be? Palmer, Foden or Isak? My top 10 are on the screen. It's rotating with the correct score predictions, mate. Danny Butcher says, would you bench Muniz or Garnacho? John Bevan says, hi James, Pope or Trippier worthy of consideration 37-38? Pope might be. I don't think Trippier will be, unfortunately. Chim says, is Elanga to KDB worth a -4 to play over Garnacho this and next week? probably going to say yes on that, aren't I? Sean Buckley says free hit 37. Here's to trying to decide on a good 36 and 38 punt that the bench boosters won't have. I have 3 Arsenal already. Who else would you pick? I'm leaning towards Wood, Morgan Gibbs White. Yeah, don't mind that. Palace players and Brentford players might be cute ones to consider as well. 2 home games. Sean Buckley says thanks for your hard work. Very welcome. Sokol H says Jammer. We're Jammer. Hope you like jamming too. And that's Deadline, guys. We're jamming. It is 6:30 p.m. UK time. We are locked. It's not a deadlock. For those of you who came just for the FPL stuff, smash a like, hit the sub button. And if you don't like any of the other content, maybe I'll see you on the Deadline stream next Saturday morning, which will be at 10 a.m. UK time. Content next week before you go. No content Monday because it's a bank holiday, and I'll probably be in morning after my trip to Anfield on Sunday, and I need to catch up with some sleep. So Game Review Pod Tuesday, Wednesday Sky Fantasy, Clash of Correspondence for you Thursday, Manchester United against Newcastle ahead of double Game Week 37. We've also got West Ham against Luton for you as well. That's with Gary Robinson, Simon Bibby Thursday, and Chris Stone and Dan Ashby on Friday. If you want to support the show, it's www.patreon.com/planetfpl. It's through the support of our patrons that allows me to do streams such as this one, which are freely available to all. Sign up to Patreon if you want to support the show, or because you want additional content, which includes an additional podcast from Intermediate Plus tier every weekday, except for Bank Holiday Mondays. And also when I take a holiday, like I will do in the last week of May. But I'm probably only going to take 2 weeks off across the whole year. So it'll be a constant stream of content. If anybody has any non-FPL questions, now is your time to throw them in the chat. Or happily cover them off for 5 or 10 minutes before I go and spend some Friday night time with my son before the riveting viewing of Luton versus Everton. Andy Cairns would like to wish everyone good luck. Nat Chapman says, like the stream on your way out, please, folks. You're very welcome, Nat. Thank you, mate. Fighter Jet says, thanks, James. Don't worry about Spurs. Ange will build you a good team. I'm more worried for next season. I'm a Liverpool fan. Yeah, listen. It's okay to be angry, which I am at the moment. And you must remember that obviously it's the emotional stuff, right? So, in a weird way, like, I can judge 19 teams in this league almost without prejudice. That almost includes Arsenal, right? Despite the dislike for them, right? With mine, it's almost more difficult because there's an emotional attachment. And it's also okay to say that I'm pissed off with Ange this week and also still say I love him to bits and I think he's the right man and I think he'll get it right. I really do believe that. It's okay to feel both of those things and be angry about this week. And actually, the thing is, it's not just this week. I explained that on the Patreon pod this morning. The 3-0 at Fulham. Okay, bad day at the office. 1-1 at West Ham. We only turned up for 10 minutes. Boring. Shit. Went up to Newcastle. Smashed to pieces. And then Thursday, off the back of losing the derby. So it's not just, one game, Wells crumbled in. The statistic earlier was, what was that, like 35 points in the last 24 games or something? Like, that's not good. That's not good. Like, across the season, you're going to finish circa 10th, 11th with that. So it's not good, right? That's a sizable bit of data. But there's mitigatings in terms of the injury problems in the middle. Now that's not an excuse. Now it's become clearer that there was performances at the start of a honeymoon period. What Ange said about trying to find out now who truly, players are following his instructions. Do they truly believe it? Are they truly on board? He's going to find out now the ones who are and aren't. And he's got to get rid of the ones who aren't. And that's why the comeback you guy was saying, you're always critical of Son. I'm not too sure he's on board. And that's the captain. And that's a big problem. So yeah, you got any non-FPL questions? Throw them in. Sweet Blues, should Eric Dyer be in England squad, given his performance with Bayern in Champions League, especially given 26-man squads? This is interesting. And I think what Dyer's done at Bayern, and I've not seen a lot of them, but I did watch the game against Real Madrid. He's arguably Bayern's best defender at the moment, which, considering how sought after Kim Min-jae, Dayot Upamecano, and Matthias de Ligt have all been, whether you think they're good, bad, whatever, they've all been massively sought over after the last couple of years as like the hottest centre-back property. And he's the reliable one who's playing, and it just shows quite often that one player can work really well in one system and one not so good in another system. I note the distances of the centre backs, particularly in the Arsenal quarterfinal as well, and that's really suitable for him when you're in possession, because his range of passing actually is better than people give up. But put him in that high line of Tottenham, he's in trouble, isn't he? But then also, you maybe we reflect on that more now. Well, Tottenham's still giving up shitloads of chances, whether he's there or not. And him at defending set plays would be quite useful, right? I was thinking about it when I was watching the game the other night, actually, in terms of, we know Southgate will pick Maguire. In terms of a like for like, who is closest? Now, if he's got himself fit, in good condition, he's playing regular minutes, he arguably is Eric Dyer. I haven't seen enough of him in Munich to truthfully say, yeah, that's the right answer. And I think Southgate may have already made his bed to cut that off, possibly. But, you know, he's playing a Champions League semi-final. That's the sort of shit's maybe going to sway an opinion or two. So I don't think any of us would be truly surprised if suddenly he was back in it. And like you said, I know it's been announced today, it's going back to 26-man squad. My instinct is probably no. But I also haven't seen enough of him at Bayern to say, yeah. But I thought he was fine Tuesday night. He did fine. He was less of a problem than Kim, I can tell you that. Static says, non-FPL, how's the boy? Yeah, it's good. You might have heard him a few times during the stream. He's been off today because they've got an inset day at school. He's fine. Usual nutcase self. Happy most of the time. Very wanty, needy at the moment, but that's okay. As long as he asks politely, I can deal with that. Yeah, he's fine. Thank you for asking. Reddit Returns says, what do you make of Andrew's comments on set pieces? This has become a Tottenham podcast now, hasn't it? I'm bored to death of it. It's getting embarrassing. And the thing is as well, it's like the other team gets a corner and he's just waiting now. I mean, it wasn't even from a corner last night, but yeah, I mean, if you've got a set piece against my team and you're not putting it in the box, you're quite silly. Even City should be putting the ball in the box against us in 11 days or whenever that is. Yeah, but he's got to suck it up. I tweeted this at half-time of the Arsenal game. He's got to suck it up and get a specialist in there. He has to. Because it's clearly not working. And I think you can have your principles and all that. And I love a lot of his principles and his philosophy and the way he wants the team to play. I love all that generally. But to overlook this would be really naive, right? Because to think that the other clubs, and I use Arsenal as a good reference, who've obviously been outstanding at set pieces, like, their margins matter. Here's a reality, right? We don't deserve to finish top four. Can't argue that at all. And I said that a couple of weeks ago, that Villa deserved it. But had we got these fine margins right this year, how many more points would we have? Now, I haven't sat there to work it out because I don't really want to. But we'd have more points on the board. And we'd certainly be in contention. Let's put it that way. So, got to look at it. It's an important part of the game. Can't just. I'm not even saying he is ignoring it. I've heard Millie Jedinak and Ryan Mason, one or the other, might be doing some stuff on set plays. Whatever they're doing, it's not working. The other problem is, and to go back to the Dyer reference, there's no one there who's dominant. Romero actually was a problem at defensive set plays, believe it or not, even when we had Conte. So there's no one dominant. I've spoke particularly on our Patreon pods about Mickey van der Ven. He's terrible in the air. He's really bad. Now, if he can improve that, that will help. But you look through the rest of the team, and it's not dominant. Ironically, a couple are cleared at the near post last night by Richarlison, someone who can defend set plays. We've missed Harry Kane defending corners this year. So there is a physicality element that's a problem. Like, Tottenham need to buy a new six that's not just a good footballer. It needs to be a giant as well. It needs to be of like Rodri's physicality and stuff to go with it. They're not easy to find. You're certainly not going to get on with Rodri. And to find the next one's tough. But it's a small team. You look at Arsenal and City, and they're so powerful, aren't they? Just, you know, forget the football for a minute. Just on set plays, it's so powerful. You're at a disadvantage. Gary Robinson says, Sky, would you go Pickford to Onana or Havertz to Bruno? Really don't want to lose Havertz. You answer your own question then, haven't you, Gary? The problem is, you know that Onana's going to do fuck all, don't you? Bruno might at least do something. I think Gary is probably the captaincy, clinches it for Bruno, I think. Unless you obviously particularly want to captain Havertz against United on the following Sunday, and there's every chance you may well want to do that. Most people won't get a Havertz. That's a really interesting differential. The reality is, though, when you sell it after this weekend, it's an effective 5 for 2 with a captaincy in there, isn't it? You might sell it back and say, well, I won Havertz captaincy back. Maybe it's 5 for 3. There's still an advantage there, isn't there? Now, I get it. There's a similar advantage on Nana over Pickford. You also go in a Nana against Palace before Pickford plays Sheffield United. I mean, you could make that same transfer the following Sunday. I get you want it for captaincy. I think, Gary, you should consider looking at a Palace player. Look at Mateta's price and see if it works. And what that maybe enables you somewhere else. I'd consider that. I think if it was me, Gary... Alright, let me put myself in these shoes. I've got Bruno on board. What happens if I get the Monday night? I've got one transfer left. What if I get the Monday night and Bruno's not playing? What am I doing? I think, Gary, there's a fair chance I might just go for a Palace player. I mean, it's possible. Bruno is going to cover you better. What do you want to achieve as well? I mean, how big can Onana go? There's this as well. It's a short period, right? How big could Onana go? What do you need? Penalty saves, clean sheets, stuff like that. Fernandes, you know, from, say, the Sheffield United game, could just have that one game that'll outscore Onana over the 4. It's Bruno, really, isn't it? I think, mate. Parkbeg FC says, hi, James. How were your away fixture tickets awarded as a single or part of a consistent pair? I'm not sure if I understand the question, but I'll try and give an answer. So it's a loyalty point system. So you get certain points for every game. So me going to Liverpool, because it's a prestige game, despite the fact there's no trains, it's like 1 point, I think. Going to Sheffield United gets you 3 points. And that totals up. And then I think it's a rolling... I can't remember if it's a rolling 3 or 4 year period. I'm not sure. But then what they do is at the end of the season, they take your furthest one away. And then it keeps rolling from there. So look, I'm very lucky. I'm in a privileged position. I think it's going to work out. We've been to 15 away games this year, I think. No, there might be 14. Sorry, tell a lie, 14. And I think... we did 15 or 16 last year, and the only reason it's been less this year is because we had less cup games. So I've put myself in a position where I'm fairly high up. I'm hoping that what's happened over these last couple of years is going to put me in a position where I might get near to getting a ticket for like Bournemouth away or Brentford away. I didn't get in this year, but I did the previous 2 years, which is ironic. I think the fact it was first day of the season at Brentford made it worse. That's why. Why'd you keep going? Because them fractions are so important in terms of keeping the points. So I've earned it. I'm also lucky. I know how difficult it is for people on the outside to accumulate them points. That's why I keep going as much as I can. George Kenny says, Alexa, play Bob Marley jamming. I hope you like jamming too. Daniel Cullerton says, you've always been a massive fan of De Zerbi. Do you think his stock has dropped this season, or you put it all down to Europe and injuries? In the middle. I think he shows stubbornness. I think sometimes he shows off coldness. I think it's those things that will make some of the biggest clubs reluctant to potentially go there and employ him. But I am a big fan of his work. You know that. Let's see where we are. Hopefully for them, they get the squad fit. I mean, the way they play, the wingers are so important. They've barely had... Mitoma they've had out for 6 months. March they've had out for 6 months. And it feels like they've barely had Mitoma this season as well. All right, let's see if they can improve the situation in the wide areas. What that does for them next year. And they'll be able to invest in the squad again. Let's say, I certainly wouldn't write him off, no way at all. But yeah, he has to take some of the blame for this season. but it's certainly mitigating as well. It's because we held our expectations so high on them, right? We sat at this time last year and we're going, like, over the last 6 months, like, Brighton have had the highest XG in Europe's top 5 leagues over this consistent period since De Zerbi coming. You know how staggering that is. And yet, if you look, I think at their last 5 games, I think it's like 5.4 for XG over the last 5 or something like that. For them, that's a massive dip, and they're not scoring at the moment. But they're also real short of personnel. If you put being, yeah, fuck it, I'm going to be horrible. If you put an average manager in charge of that group of players, what do you expect of them? Do you think it gets better? Like it doesn't, right? If you drop all them players into, I don't know, an average bottom 6 Premier League team, are they better? I mean, what they've got with the injuries at the moment, I'll argue maybe they're not. So, yeah, I still think De Zerbi's got it. He's not blameless either. Rhino says, evening, worried about tomorrow. If Leeds don't beat Saints, the atmosphere will be moody at best. Daft when we've got as many points as Bielsa managed. Ipswich is going to be lots of fun for FPL. Yes, I suspect they are. Good luck in the playoffs. That's, you know, mate, that's highly likely what it's going to be. Andrew Howard says, do you think there's a correlation between high-intensity teams and fading down the stretch? Liverpool, Spurs and Brighton all seem to be out of gas. Okay, let's sell this a different way. Do Liverpool always run out of gas? No. Correlation of perhaps both teams have had injury hit seasons at various points. I think we should remember, ironically, Liverpool were having some great results around February, March when they were really struggling for players, actually. I mean, it's easy to forget that. And obviously my team had big problems in sort of November, December. So maybe it might be a correlation between, if you're going to be a high-intensity team and managing to keep the majority of the squad fit would be quite important. You know, Newcastle would be another example. Last year, they maintained the high intensity. I kept saying, you know, would they make it to April and stuff? And they did. They did. Now, they didn't have European football, but last year they also kept the squad together. You look at even basics like the back four. I'm sure I saw this stat this morning that Trippier, Schär, Botman, Pope. I can't remember if it was Burn as well or not. It might not have been. But certainly the other 4 all started at least 35 Premier League games last season. Now, that's helpful. Consistency, right? That's very, very helpful. They haven't been able to have that this year, and they've often had weeks where Eddie Howe's just refused to use a bench because he's felt players weren't ready and stuff like that. So it's a fair point, but I also think there's anomalies to dispel that as high intensity teams that don't work. Like, yeah, it can. Vinyl says, evening James, hope things are well. Can you talk a little about Romero's season? Last couple of weeks he's playing similar to the beginning of the season. Why hasn't he played like this all season? Christian Romero's had a very consistent season. I voted him as our player of the year this week because I think he's the one that's had the most consistency. Rarely has bad games, and when he has, everybody else has as well. And actually, when I thought about it more, and I was thinking, just remove the idiocy of the red card against Chelsea. Yeah, he's been our best player. He's also one I certainly couldn't. When he controls the commitment, which actually he largely has done this season, bar a strange period sort of over November, December, where I think he got desperate when we was in that period with injuries and stuff. He's actually controlled himself pretty well. He's a top player. He's a top player. So I think maybe he's been better and more consistent than maybe you're giving credit, possibly. Sean W says in Sky, 8 transfers left. Jesus Christ, like goldmine, mate. I'm thinking of using 2, going from Pickford to Raya, then Onana on Monday night. Good idea. There's no point going Raya for 1 game, mate. There's not. I don't think. Like, you get more out of that. Find a way from something else. Sure, Pickford to Onana Monday night, fine. Find something else where you can make better gains on that, where, you know, City play. Bad example. Saturday. Who have you got playing Sunday, Saturday? Chelsea is an example. West Ham even. Something like Jared Bowen Sunday, Saturday, and then move it on to something else. Find them ones, mate. Charlie XGX says, ever meet up for pints with people on away days? Was going to be watching us play Spurs on Sunday, but have given the ticket to my cousin. Lost his dad in April, so he could use something to do next season. I'm sorry to hear that, mate. Yeah, happy to meet people. I always say to people, Stuart on the door, I don't know if he watched the streams, but he said he likes the podcast. Put me a ticket to go on the ground at Stamford Bridge. Nice young lad said to me, oh, James, I said, yeah. So, oh, I like the podcast, man. I was like, thanks. I always say to people, say hello, like I'm just a normal person like you, so always say hello, and it feeds my ego, right? My dad thinks I'm famous. Hi Dad, hope you're feeling better today than you were last night. So yeah, feed the ego. Yeah, no, I'm happy to meet people. Like, I quite regularly on away games, if I can, I'll meet some of the correspondents. I'll be honest, this Sunday wouldn't have been possible anyway because I'm going via coach. But yeah, there's a couple of our patrons that I absolutely would have met if I was coming up on the train and getting up earlier this week. So yeah, happy to meet people if I know who they are and haven't invited me to a gym first and stuff like that. Louis Bonilla says, hello sir, good to see you watching from Hayward, California. I just wanted to say, love all the great work this season and met lots of new friends like yourself. Thanks so much. God bless. Good luck to you, Lewis. Cheers, pal. Charles says, hi James, I got to say thank you to you. I asked you, should I free hit 25 rather than free hit 34? End up I used free hit 34. I got 135 overall from 145k to 60k. I was struggling around the 1 to 200k in 110 game weeks. This is my best rank. Well, it's nice to be a good story, Charles. And I keep telling people these stories exist to people thanking me for their rank. I never bloody help myself. Last one of the evening goes to Rob Pick. He says, evening, mate. Quick Sky Q. 4 transfers left in one team. Would you do Gusto to Branthwaite this evening? Who do you think are priority buys for 36, 38 for people with a few left? Have a great bank holiday. Think outside the box there, Rob. You got a little more. There's a case to say what you've got Everton tonight. You might want to try and move on. But do consider a little bit about the box thinking. Things like something like a Bowen. Sunday, Saturday, chain it on. Ask yourself, look at who would be of interest. No one's going to go there. You ain't no one buying Jared Bowen Sunday. So with what you got left, this is part of the reason for having them left at the end, if you've got, is consider little things like that. That will be difficult when you still get there and Tottenham has still got 4 fixtures left. Liverpool you can use for captaincy. The fact that for me you would captain Salah Sunday and then the Monday against Villa, I'd argue find a way to go back with what you got left, Rob. And you could always do that, effective 4 for 1 over someone, and then use Salah into someone else. Man City punt against Tottenham the next night on that Tuesday night, for example. A few different ways, Rob. Don't just do the template at this stage if you've got a little more left, mate. I think 4's more than many. I got 1, boy. My last transfer might be like a Palace defender. It might be like Chris Richards on Monday night if Bruno Fernandes doesn't make it. Jamie Anthony says, hi James, just wanted to say Planet FPL had a cracking season and thanks for the content over the years. You're very welcome, mate. Also, I'd like to point out that I'm not going anywhere and I'm not dead. I'm still here and I will still be here next season as well. That's it, guys. We'll leave it there. Smash a like, hit the sub button on your way out. I hope your arrows are green. I hope you all have a great weekend. So you'll be back with me for the Game Review pod on Tuesday. Take care. Ciao for now, everyone.